As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Bruh, bros. But Tamara and Gina have a conversation, and Tamara is not drinking because of Ryan's house last time. Okay, good. Good for
Smart.
you. But if you're going to do that because you know what your behavior was at Ryan's house last time, you then in turn can't say it's still because of Shannon that all this is happening, because you're acknowledging that you were the problem at Ryan's. You're acknowledging that you were the issue in calling him a little bitch, pointing the FBI thing at him so that he had to answer for that. You were the damaging person there, spilling your drink in the house and not cleaning up. Like, all of these different things were your fault. And yet you can still say Shannon's the cause of this. So it's really weird to me. And this is where Gina goes, there's a lot of collateral damage from the Shannon and Tamara issue. All right. And there has been. And Shannon's a part of that too, because she dragged people in that she didn't need to drag in, because she was grasping for straws, because she was getting attacked. Did Gina need to be brought into focus? Absolutely not. Especially pulling in her drama outside with Travis and the potential like pushing down the stairs nonsense and all the stuff with his ex. She now has to answer for things that have nothing to do with Shannon and Tamara. So she's right to have gripes with both. However, she says it the best way possible because Shannon's addressing her issues to a certain extent, at the very least. Tamara takes no accountability, attacks, and then doesn't do anything about it. And she goes as far to say that's narcissistic behavior. It's like, yes, Gina, you're getting it. That's a good and astute observation from somebody that misses the mark a lot. So I was actually impressed with Gina.
I took it as Tamara wasn't drinking because she wanted to be more on point for when she sits down and finally gets to clear the air or clear her name or whatever the fuck she's trying to do. I think she just wanted to be somewhat coherent for the conversation and
like
try to run the storyline in a different way, try to spin a narrative, which everybody keeps claiming. Shannon, especially Johnny J, Shannon's the one who's just trying to spin a narrative and she's trying to make it look good for herself. Tamara does it every fucking episode. Every single episode, she just tries to spin a narrative and pass the blame onto somebody else. So I took that as, yeah, I'm going to come in here. I've got plans, which she did. And thankfully, Jen didn't really embrace those plans. But I've got plans and I want to make sure that I'm here for it. Or either that or Eddie took her and before they went out and said, do not fucking embarrass me today.
It might have happened, by the way. That may have happened.
He embarrassed the shit out of him at Matt and Katie's house. So yeah.
Oh my God. He looked like a battered husband in a blanket at the end of that thing. He was legit sitting at the table in a blanket, silent as she left, and he stayed.
It was like after it's like after a tragedy or like you see like some sort of fire or something,
like a car crash, and they're like sitting in
car crash. You get a little blanket from the EMT. You're like, yeah,
it's like sobbing in the corner. But weird scene with Ryan and I'm going to call him Matthew because Matt I know as our guy Matt. Yes. Katie's Matt, who we love here, and I don't want to get them confused. Matthew is the bookie. All right. And we get to meet Matthew, and he could not look more like what I expected him to look like.
That suit, yeah, dude.
So fucking on the nose. I audibly laughed out loud. I was like, of course that's the guy. And he goes as far to make a joke about Ryan. He's like, that's my money launderer. I was like, oh boy, that's not gonna play well.
This guy, by the way, Matthew is already basically caught. He is caught red-handed.
He's fucked.
He's not even making jokes. He is just speaking truths
and
talking about his situation.
Like, oh my God, I didn't, because we get like the off-camera mic, and he's like, wait, you were involved with that? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, I've seen that all over the news. Katie's Matt knows all this shit, and he's like, a public figure for the Golf Channel or whatever. Like, whatever, is that who he works for, the Golf Network? Yeah, and he's like, I'm not getting close to this fucking guy. I'll be in the back because I can't be associated because I know what's going on with him.
Come in here anytime.
Yeah, like he knows the gist, and this dude's not even denying. He's making jokes at Ryan's expense. I'm like, that's not going to play well for Ryan. But we move on to Emily, Katie, Heather, and Alexis, and the kids stuff. And this is the he said, she said. Well, Kaylee said this. Oh, well, my kid said this. And Heather, at the end of the day, I think what you can take from this is you were mean to the point that children are calling you out. That's what you should take away from this. Not so much who said it, the fact that Kaylee, who was babysitting the kid, this may have been as innocuous as, oh, Heather was mean to mommy. And Kaylee going, yeah, she's mean to my mom too.
Yep.
That could have been the extent of it. And that doesn't need to be turned into anything more. And Emily's, her stance on it, strange to me, because she's taking Heather's side and she's like, they're repeating what they heard. It's like, that may be true, Emily, but
she's afraid of Heather. I think
that's
what I get from it.
I think so too. But I like Katie's approach to this whole thing, because she's like, well, if that's the truth, then I got to talk to Kaylee because she's lying to me, because this is what I was told. And if you're told that, and the best example is Emily, you're taking at face value what your 8 and 6-year-old told you. Okay. I'm taking at face value what my 20-year-old told me, because that's what you do as a mother. You trust your children. If there is evidence against it, Kaylee's in a place where it's like, all right, talk to her and figure this out. Emily, you can't really talk to your kids because they're going to, I don't remember. Or like, who the fuck knows what happened?
Who's Heather?
Right. Like, this whole thing is such a strange sticking point to me. But I love, like, this was when Katie solidified her place on this show for me, was this exact moment, because she goes, yeah, you know what? Me and Kaylee were giggling about this whole thing. And Heather's like, what about me being mean? She goes, yeah. She's like, I'm fucking over this shit. She goes, you put your hands in my face, like you get all up in arms at me, and you swore on your kids and you lied about that. Katie's done. Katie's tried. She's tried to mend fences. She's tried to come halfway. Heather's been so stuck on her bringing up this nonsense so long ago, like first 2 episodes of the season, that it's now turned. Even if Katie is the culprit, Heather looks way worse to me than Katie does in this scenario, because Katie is able to go, fuck you. I'm done. And of course I'm going to side with Kaylee because she's my daughter. And if she did lie, like what an innocuous lie. This is such a silly thing to be arguing about, that I'm fucking done with you, Heather. And she stands up to her in a great way. And Heather's like baffled. She doesn't even know how. That was, for me, the biggest part was that she stymied Heather. Heather has not used to this from anybody on this cast, because they do tend to cower and bend the knee, as we're watching Emily kind of doing this scene. The fact that a newcomer can come in and not only do it, but then stand firm when Heather comes back at her and be like, I really, truly don't care anymore. And she really seems like she doesn't. Spoke volumes. I'm like, Katie's here to stay. And I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. And honestly, for her to sit there and do all of that, and obviously, like we just talked about with Emily, she's scared of Heather. That's the whole reason. She's not even talking about, she's trying to not pass the blame to Kaylee. She's trying to keep that side of the
She's trying to middle ground
clean.
it.
She's just trying to say that Katie shouldn't be standing here perpetuating it, which she's really not. And most of all, she's just scared of Heather, because she's seen what Heather does when you get on her bad side, and she doesn't want to be on Heather's bad side. At the end of the day, who gives a shit? It's children talking, and somehow it got back to Heather, and Heather is so upset what children think, because she thinks that their mothers are talking about her in front of the children. They probably are
mean, and you are fucking mean.
You are mean. You are very mean, and I do really appreciate, and this is kind of funny now because we were a little over at the beginning of the season. Who gives a shit? You know what? If Heather's going to make this such a huge point and talk about how pretty much bringing up your parentage and saying you're not a good mother because your children are talking about me and you're talking about your kids in front of me, or you're talking about me in front of your kids, for Katie to then tie in the paparazzi rumor with Heather, I'm sorry to tell you this. We all know that you fucking planned that. It is not some huge government secret that's fully under wraps. It's not some weird coincidence or conspiracy. It is very clear that you and Terry orchestrated this, because you had some marital problems. There were some rumors out there about Terry stepping out on you. Let's go to Disneyland. We'll take some pictures. Nobody in their fucking right mind is pointing at attractions at Disneyland and going like this, cuddled up with their husband. It is weird. It is bizarre.
We need to recreate that picture.
We should go to Disneyland and we'll go do that. That would be fine. And we have to call the paparazzi to get there too, just to see how fucking easy it is. For Katie to just say, fuck it. You know what? I thought that this was kind of dumb in the beginning. It was a bad move on my part, but I don't give a shit anymore. I'm going to tie this all together. You swore on your kids' lives that you didn't call the paparazzi. That's stupid because you clearly did. So that's dumb on your part. And I don't care anymore. I'm done with all of this. I'm going to walk away. And you can tell the state of everybody because Heather is flustered. Heather's pissed off that she had to go through that because nobody stands up to Heather. And you get everybody standing around Heather. Oh my God, did you take her gloves off? The gloves really came off. They didn't come off for Heather. They came off for Katie. Katie's done with your bullshit. Moved on, solidified her place. Love it.
Yeah, didn't have time for it. It was really great. And yeah, to your point, not one person on the planet thinks that you did not call the paparazzi.
Yep.
Everybody that watches this show thinks that you called the paparazzi because of the setting and because of the pictures themselves.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm team Katie here, 100%. Like unequivocally team Katie. Even
Yep.
if she's wrong, even if Kaylee was talking shit, great, good. I love that. And I love that you owned it. And I love that you didn't buckle. And I also love that Emily tries to mend the fence with Katie in that moment. It's like, can you see how this is a damaging thing, bringing the kids into it? Katie's like, oh my God, yeah, for that part, I'm sorry. And they're like, all right, we're good. So they're good.
Yep.
Heather's not. And I think Heather's spiraling because she's not used to this. And I love to see her sweat a little bit and not get what she wants and not get the resolve at the end of it where she's like, see, fuck you, Katie. Now nobody likes you. It's like, no, Katie really, truly does not care. And that's the best place for her to be because she's disrupting. And I love a good disruptor. So the comeback season.
She's the closest with the number one housewife on the show right now with Jen.
Yeah, and their relationship is awesome. They're so fun together and genuine and authentic that they're ushering in this new generation of OC housewife. And guess what? Fans are resonating with them. The audience is resonating.
They're teaming up with Tamra, who's crashing and burning. Bad look.
It's a weird turn. Nobody saw it coming, and that's why the season's so good. But
I love it.
Trucking, we get to Jen and Tamra finally, and she tries to bring up the text at the party, which is tacky as hell to begin with. This is an engagement party, and you're coming over hat in hand, allegedly, to smooth things over because you want to be friends with Jen, and you still are holding on to this Shannon came between us bullshit. She's like, I have all the texts, and Shannon tried to come between us, and Jen says what Gina says. It's like the difference is Shannon will apologize, and not with a yeah, but. That's the biggest part. Shannon just said sorry. You are incapable of just saying sorry. And then she brings up Ryan's dinner. She's like, all you do was talk shit. And Tamara can't help herself. In a moment where she's trying to smooth it over, she goes, well, all the girls talk shit about Ryan. It's like, way to take accountability. In this one moment, way to take accountability and just take it. If you really care about your friendship with Jen, just say, that was fucked up. I'm sorry. And Jen's coming back and saying, yeah, all you do is talk shit. Just say, you know what? My bad. Not, oh, yeah, well, everybody does. So fuck you. But I still want to try to be friends with you because I love you. It's like, that doesn't really work. And she apologized for going low. And then the craziest part of this whole thing, she's like, I thought we were good. I thought things were moving in the right direction. Like, I don't know what happened. It's like, what have you been watching? At what point during this season, other than episode fucking 1, were you and Tamara cool? Or you and Jen cool? Like, at no point from what I've seen after those first maybe 2 episodes, was this an okay relationship? She pegged you pretty quick for being a turncoat and an asshole. Thank God, because we were scared when it started that they were going to be friends again.
Yep.
So no. And this is all your own doing by trying to rope her into the bullshit. And then when she's not buying it, then you go after her man. Like, what did you expect to happen? That she was going to have this conversation with you and be cool. And then she's calmly telling you pretty much to go fuck yourself. Like, I don't have time for this. And your response to her is, well, if you're going to raise your voice, like, I want to make up it. If you put the emphasis back on her, that she's causing a scene and making this relationship irreparable. And that's not what happened because we're watching. Once again, Tamara, we have cameras and microphones. She's not raising her voice. She's standing her ground and setting a boundary. And you don't know how to function when people do that because you're not used to it. And finally, we're getting a season where you're getting checked for all of your shit, not only from the housewives on the show, but the housewives of old are coming out of the woodwork to drag you again. And you don't know what to do. So you do what you always do and you put it back on her. Well, I've tried. This is not going to happen. And that's your fault, Jen, because I'm coming to you hat in hand to fix this. And now you're raising your voice at me. No, she's not. She's just done. Thank God.
Yeah, this is once again another terrible, terrible optics blunder by Tamra. thinking that people would have her back, that she was in the right, that if she went into this at Jen's engagement party, let me just try to wrap my head around all of this. At Jen's engagement party, to the guy that you just were spouting rumors about him being
And
raided
calling
by
him
the
a little
FBI
bitch.
and calling him a little bitch, that instead of you just coming hat in hand and saying, wow, I'm really excited that she invited me. Maybe this is a way to bury the hatchet. Maybe this is a way that we can work on our friendship. You don't try to do any of that. And you just try to bring other people into the fold to blame them and say you're not alone because everybody else is talking about Ryan. We know that everybody's talking about Ryan. Jen knows that everybody's talking about Ryan. That doesn't excuse your behavior. So you can't just do that and expect to get off scot-free. You should be apologizing. And she's not. And in classic Tamra fashion, the best way to do this is to claim that the other person is yelling and they're carrying on. And there's no way for us to repair this relationship because you won't let it happen. No, there's no way to repair the relationship because you're a piece of shit. That's what it comes down to, Tamra. It's pretty clear to me, pretty clear to everybody else. You're just a terrible person and you don't care about your friendships because as soon as you get the opportunity to burn a friendship for more views, for more clicks on your dumbass podcast, you're going to do that. You are going to do that 10 out of 10 times. So finally, we see Jen has grown and she has the biggest backbone on the cast at this point, standing up to Tamara, and you don't know what to do. And I need more of this as soon as possible. We're not going to get that.
Reunion.
I just don't know because she is so high and mighty on the FBI shit because she was right. I can't.
But she's
stand
not.
it.
That's the best part at the end of this.
But that's the thing is when we went into this season, we were worried that Jen was just going to get beaten down by Tamara and then this was going to happen at the end. And instead we have this beautiful coming of age for Jen standing up against Tamara. And of course this has to happen with Ryan. What the fuck, Shohei Ohtani? You couldn't wait a year?
Yeah, Shohei. Oh, sorry. Shohei's translator.
Sorry. Well, yep. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
You couldn't wait a fucking year to do all of this. Do it next year. We need time for Jen to be able to heal and move on with her life and be happy and stand up against Tamara. We don't need this FBI shit because now Tamara is going to take claim for that and say that it was all because of her. And she told everybody.
Yeah, but and I'm going to save it for the end, but like it's not going to land the way she wants it to because of what happens at the end of this episode.
It's not going to land with us the way that she wants it to, but it's going to land in her mind as if she stuck the landing.
As we see with her stupid ass FBI hat. It's fucking dumb. But Gina calls out the fact that Shannon hasn't addressed Tamara or Alexis, and she just goes, you know what? I'm creating healthy boundaries, which is what we are seeing. In other instances, yes, we don't like when people bow out of altercations. Like if shit's going south, address it. In this particular instance, like it makes sense because we've seen how that goes. We've seen her constantly on the defense when they're at dinners, on trips. It doesn't really matter. Shannon is always taking a beating from those two. So it's like, no, I don't have anything left for them. And that's fine. And she storms off and goes, I'm fucking out of here. It's like, good, just get away from it. It's the last episode. Did you want her to clap back?
I wanted her to do something. That was way too quick, especially because you just left London. You left London in a very dramatic fashion, getting a completely different flight from the rest of them. That's funny to me. But if you're going to do it again, you can't do it this quickly. You need to have at least a couple of things loaded, ready to go, because you know this is going to happen. I do appreciate that you're working on yourself. I do appreciate that you're removing yourself from toxic places and toxic events. Fine. But doing it that quickly is kind of annoying just because she's been doing it all season. And then lashing out at Matt. So I do have to give Shannon a lot of shit for that. He is not the one. We love Matt here. We appreciate Matt. You don't go after Matt for that. My guy's standing over there trying to stay away from the fucking bookie, hiding in a corner. You walk over thinking he's going to be nice, and he doesn't know what to say. Like what
he was nice.
I know.
He wasn't mean. He literally says, like, maybe it's time for you to bounce. Like, get out of this. And she's like, oh my, like I was so taken aback by her reaction. And that was the reminder. It's like, yeah, Shannon's not perfect. We're not sitting here claiming that she is. And I think that gets lost in translation when we defend her against Tamara. It's like, even if she's like on this self-healing journey with the booze and taking accountability for all that shit, it doesn't mean that she doesn't have other things to work on, such as this. Because Matt, all he says is like, and then he backs it up with, I've gotten to know you. You've been nothing but nice to me. Maybe it's time to just walk away. And she's like, oh, I can't believe. I was like, this is weird. Like Matt's he's catching a stray for being
so weird.
nice to you. And even Matt's like, what's up? Like, I'm standing here.
You want me to say?
Yeah, like
you came over here to talk to me. I don't want to talk.
Right. You walked into my atmosphere because I'm hiding from the bookie over there. And all I said to you was maybe walk away. This doesn't seem like it's worth your time because I've gotten to know you and you are nice to me. So I'm trying to support you. And she takes that as a big like slap in the face from Matt. And this poor fucking guy.
Concern and a compliment. Like, what do you want?
Yeah. And he's like, what the hell? Like, then fuck off. I'm just hiding. Like, you're blowing up my spot now because you're causing a scene with me. And Matthew the bookie's going to come over here, and then the golf network's going to see it, and I'm going to get fired for gambling. So fuck off. And I was so confused by the whole interaction. And then later she goes up to Katie and is like, he said the rudest thing to me. It's like, he told you to walk away.
Yep. I do at least appreciate that she sat down and said, he said the rudest thing to me. And Katie asked what he said, and she just reiterated exactly what he said, at least. She didn't add any stank to it. She didn't add any extra words that he definitely didn't say. She just said what he said.
But that's even more confusing.
Exactly. And then even when Shannon reiterates it to Katie, it still doesn't sound bad. It still sounds like he has concern for you and wanted you to just walk away. Not that big of a deal.
No, but what I was happy with was that Katie didn't take it and run with it. She wasn't like, you're not going to talk about Matt. It was more of like, I think, and maybe she's getting too much credit just because I'm impressed with her this season in this episode, but I think and I hope, and I think that Jen does this as well with this new, like the newbies really stepping up on this franchise, is not getting stuck on shit that's not worth it.
Right.
Like Shannon's clearly emotional. She's clearly upset. Who knows what happened with that interaction with Matt from Katie's standpoint? She didn't see what went down, but it's more one of those where it's like, this isn't like, I'm sure that when Shannon rewatches this, hopefully she's like, oh, that wasn't nice. Like there was no reason for me to go off like that. So maybe Katie recognizes like this isn't worth causing a fight over. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll see at the reunion. It takes a different turn, but I'm glad it wasn't like a big problem. But of course, we could not end this season without one more Johnny J appearance. And he shows up to pick up Alexis from this party in an Uber and steps out of the car dressed like fucking Bono. And I'm like, for the last time.
Yep.
I don't know who the
fuck. He's gotta have the cross out. He's a God-fearing Christian.
He's a Christian, and those people that lean on the good book when they're a piece of shit are the worst. If you're religious, by all means, do you. But people like John Jansen give religion a bad name because you're going to stand on Jesus right now when you show up wearing a douchey scarf, stepping out of an Uber Black like you're a fucking important person to pick up Alexis from a party that she's throwing just so you can show your face one more time on screen, one more mad grab to try to be relevant when you're not relevant. Your only chance at relevancy was attaching yourself to women on TV to try to steal their spotlight, which is grimy in of itself. It's so time for this guy to sail off into the fucking sunset, and hopefully his sail rips, because I'm so sick of talking about Johnny J. I'm so sick of these grabs at attention in confessionals where he's playing this sob story like we give a fuck. By the way, maybe you are getting dragged. I don't care, because you put yourself in such a bad light by backing Alexis, by having this relationship immediately after Shannon, by this story about the quiet lady when you two met up and figured out this plan together, and your big claim before the season that you are mad and hate Shannon because she brought you onto the spotlight when you didn't want to be, and in being in the spotlight, it ruined your life. Shannon didn't ruin your life, and that's the biggest thing to take away from watching this entire season, is him victim blaming Shannon for her being the cause of this whole thing, when you can look at the trajectory that is John Jansen and say, no, dude, if you actually had any wherewithal to look around at your situation and how you got here, it's because you wouldn't shut the fuck up and stay off the screen. If you just didn't talk and didn't present yourself to us trying to make amends for some weird thing or trying to get Shannon to cop to being the culprit here, we wouldn't be talking about you this season. Nobody would remember John Jansen other than it coming up occasionally on screen. We wouldn't talk about you, but you wanted clearly to be a part of the show because Bravo has to give you a release to be on the show, and you willfully signed it. So I'm so done with this guy playing this story of woe is me. Shannon treated me poorly when you're doing the same thing that you did with her, with Alexis Bellino, just so you can get back on TV. But you want to claim that TV ruined your life. You ruined your life. You did this to you. You shot yourself in the foot and then you reloaded the gun and shot your other foot. Now you can't walk. You have no feet to stand on. And you're one of the biggest steaming piles of shit that we've ever seen on Bravo. And that is so difficult to do when we have people from this same franchise faking cancer. We have people faking cancer, but Johnny J is somehow a bigger douchebag. So again, it's time to go now. You've had your 15 minutes of fame. You burned yourself to the ground. Thank you for doing that in such tremendous fashion. Fuck off now, John. Bye-bye. Bye.
The double shot in the foot was the best part of that.
That came together really well. And now you got no feet to stand on. I was like, hell yeah. Sometimes it works, baby. Sometimes we're firing.
I immediately started spiraling, thinking about where you were going to go on top of that, because sometimes you go a little too far for that stuff. Yep. And I was worried. I don't know why my mind went here, but I was thinking about peg legs, and then you were going to call him a pirate, and then you were going to somehow be stuck over there.
I could have.
You didn't do that.
I've definitely gone that direction before. I thought I tied a bow on it fairly nicely. That worked
No, it was
out
perfect. It was
unintentionally. Yeah, unintentionally great. And maybe that's just because I've been ranting about John for so long that it's just come second nature now. But yeah,
I was like peg legs, pirate sailing off into the sunset in their stupid pirate ship, and then you get attacked, and I'm like, where is he going? I don't know why I went that far. I went that far.
Steele's talking about pirates again. You always do this.
Oh, classic.
But anyway, the last thing that we need to talk about is 3 weeks later. And we watched this happen in real time. A lot of people were talking about all this because it was so shocking when it comes out that Ryan, of all people, and this for Shooter and I, because we get news alerts from like ESPN and shit too. Like we got hit with this on both sides, from Bravo and like sports outlets, because I think I was reading about it from an ESPN article or something along those lines, and it mentioned Ryan, but it has his last name on it. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I was like, not that Ryan. And then I looked at like the Bravo Twitterverse, and it was like Ryan. I was like, holy shit, what a colliding of worlds right now. I never thought that this would happen. But at the same time, as it starts to talk about everything, right? Boop, boop, boop. We're getting the gist of everything, and everyone's calling Jen an idiot. And if she was smart, she would back out of this whole thing. And you get this lunch with Tamara, Emily, Heather, and Alexis, of course, is there. And Tamara is now on this like gloating train of like, I told you so. My gut's never wrong. It's like, your gut sucks. Your gut's wrong most of the time. And even here, the payoff at the end, I think, is so great, because she pulls out this stupid FBI hat and like whips it on. Like she wanted that to be so much more iconic than it was. And it just looked stupid at this point.
She's such a loser.
Exactly. That's what it comes off like. What a fucking loser you are. But everyone's in agreement. This is a terrible look for Jen. It could not come at a worse time. She's trying to piece her life back together, and you get Jen with Katie and Gina, and Jen's just overwhelmed. And I appreciate Gina's stance. You're like, this is just unhealthy. And yeah, you know, as a concerned friend, to be able to speak up in this moment and say, dude, he's under investigation by like the FBI for money laundering. Like, this is serious jail time. You don't want to be tied to this. This is dangerous. This is a bad look. It's bad for you. Good friend. Even in a time where she's, you know, Jen's kind of spiraling. She's like, I don't know what to do now. Like, that was a good move. My favorite part about the whole thing is as we're getting, because, you know, we get the check-ins with everybody like, boop, Tamra's working on being her best self. It gets to Ryan. Ryan, and this is the most important part of this whole thing, because as this was happening, I'm like, well, we do know that Ryan has since been on Watch What Happens Live in the audience. We do know that they're going forward with the wedding. We know all of these things. So clearly something has happened where it's okay. It comes out at the very end. Ryan was never accused, and he has full immunity. Now, whether he did something wrong or not to gain that immunity, and if he's flipping on people, I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs. What I do know is, if you are not accused of something and it's not going to court, then you have no legs to stand on. You can say that he was doing shady shit. You can say that he was doing weird dealings. You don't have evidence to put him up against the FBI. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, yeah, Is Ryan shady? Yeah, we've said this from day one. Even this season where we've had this confusing, conflicting season where it's like he's doing a lot of really nice things for Jen and her kids, and that's nice to see. But at the same time, this is a shady motherfucker. Yeah, both can be true. And also at the end of the day, he was not accused. Period. He's not named in this lawsuit against this dude who's facing 18 plus years in prison. So if Ryan got out of this, whether it's because he copped to something to gain immunity or not, at this point is now irrelevant because he is not catching a case from this whole thing. So the whole Tamra, I told you so, the whole thing blowing up out of proportion. We told you Ryan was a piece of shit. At the end of the day, he didn't catch a case. So there is no more ground to stand on other than just saying he's a piece of shit. And you've been saying that nonstop. So it shouldn't carry any more weight than it used to.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And honestly, at the end of the day, is Ryan any worse than Tamra? No, he's not. Tamra's still worse than Ryan. So who cares? You can make all the accusations you want. You can claim that he's a piece of shit, but it means absolutely nothing coming from a piece of shit. So it sucks.
Right.
It's a real shame.
It's the Spider-Man meme pointing at it.
Yeah.
That's literally it. And
except the thing is, Ryan's not pointing back at Tamra. Tamra's pointing at Ryan.
Tamra's pointing at Ryan. And again, at the end of the day, I cannot stress it enough. The fact that it said flat out he was never accused and this lawsuit's moving forward against the other guy, it says he's got full immunity. So all arguments are irrelevant in this specific case because he's not getting charged, period. That's it. So again, is he on the up and up? I don't know. He's a fucking sketchy dude, but who knows? That's my whole point. But anywho, let's get to some questions. What do you say, pal? The last questions of the season. How about that? How sad. Never thought I'd say it. From Karen English, how long are you giving Ryan and Jen in OC? And we got a Louie and Teresa in Jersey on top of that. So how long are you giving Ryan and Jen and Louie and Teresa?
Ryan and Jen, I'm going to give around 10 years. I think it's going to be good for a while.
I think it's going to be, I agree. I think the early times are going to be great. I don't know how to judge how it's going to be later on. I don't know what he's doing for work now. I don't know what his finances look like after this whole case came out. Not, again, he wasn't charged, but I would imagine that he has to be on the very straight and narrow now. So I don't know what their future looks like. I don't know. They seem to, I hate that I'm saying this because, again, I don't love Ryan at all. They do seem happy with one another. Now, if he's putting on a front because I do see similarities to Louis, then that takes a different turn. As far as Louis and Teresa go, he seems to have her completely under some spell. So I don't fucking know.
No, I think they're going to break up the next 5 years.
You do? All right. So 10 years for Ryan and Jen and 5 years for Louis and Tree. All right.
10 plus for Ryan and Jen, less than 5 for for Teresa and Louis.
All right. Fair. From LH503, will Katie's husband ever attend a cast party again? Probably not, because he caught a stray when he was trying to be nice.
Yeah,
the last one, he had to sit there and watch Tamra just call Ryan a fucking bitch the whole time. So, yeah.
Who knows? Honestly, he might be golfing more often. Maybe that's it. He'll figure out a way to night golf. He'll start doing that. But, I don't see him around nearly as much.
Fair. From Rachel Nicholas, really from the prior week, but beets are good to eat if you're having pooping issues. So
good
public service announcement. If you can't poop, just beat it.
Whoa. All right, sure.
Take that however you want. Let's see. We'll do 2 more. This is a good one from Alejandra Deeks. Do you understand Katie and Jen's friendship with Alexis? I don't either. I guess that's one of those things where if Alexis hasn't done anything wrong to them personally, like they would have no beef with her.
They're able to separate that, pretty much what Alexis is doing to Shannon. Because at the end of the day, Alexis is really only targeting Shannon, and that's all she's done all season. That's her entire storyline. So maybe they're able to separate that from whatever thing else that they're seeing. I'm not really sure. But I guess that has to be it. I don't know why you would willingly want to be friends with Alexis, though.
I don't know what she brings to the table.
No.
But last one here from Mary Ashley O. At the reunion, is Tamra going to blame her behavior on alcohol and say she's sober now?
No, I don't think so. I think that
I don't
she
either.
is taking the stance still of, at least from the clip that I saw, going to still take the stance that Shannon shouldn't be drinking and blame that for a lot of things. It doesn't seem like a Tamra move to then also blame alcohol for her behavior because it's not part of her agenda.
I think she might bring it up, but I don't think it's going to point to I'm sober now because I think that
Yeah.
would be admitting a major flaw, and she's incapable of doing that.
Yeah.
But we still have the reunion. We got 3 more weeks of this, so it's not like it's over. All
Yep.
right, it does feel like it's a little sad because it was such a stellar season, but we got 3 more weeks, 3 reunion eps to go look forward to, and yeah, just bravo. This was a good one,
Bravo.
and it could not have come at a better time because we had a rough summer. So we've had some good shows to look at, and
Yeah.
especially considering Roni right now, like we needed the fact that I think that's also doing Roni such a major disservice because every other show is so good right now, and Roni's so bad that it's highlighting just how bad it is because these other shows are great, like great TV.
I just get like visibly upset whenever Roni's brought up. We did.
But think about it, dude.
No, I know.
Ross
I
Slick is
said that the other day
fantastic.
too.
OC, fantastic.
Well,
Potomac
no,
is
but I
fucking
did it.
great.
I did it in a different, I guess, in a different voice because I was saying that you might think that Roni is doing itself a disservice by not being that good because all of these shows are really good. But I said that even if it was a standalone and there were really bad shows out, Roni would still be the worst.
Yeah, probably. But
It's just awful.
maybe they'll turn it around.
Man, no, they're not.
No. Well,
Absolutely not.
you're listening to this on Tuesday, so hopefully this brightened your day a little bit and helped alleviate some anxiety. And fingies crossed. That's all I'll say on that. But you got anything else? Because we got Potomac to do now.
Nope.
Well, Rob Bros are out of here.
Bye.